Sadly, a mentality that still exists today, in this day and age, is the mentality of looking after our own people or our own kind. This mentality worries me. It worries me because it drifts us further and further away from uniting human beings. Now more than ever, we need to be finding ways to unite humanity, especially everything that's been going on with Brexit in the UK and the Trump presidency over in the United States. Some people need to be reminded that our own people are not just the Irish, not just the Americans, not just the Brits, not just even the Europeans, or we're not just Westerners. The entire human race is our own people. The human race spreads across every inch of the globe. We are not just isolated into one particular area. As many of you know, I'm quite an admirer of Thomas Paine. He's one of my favorite philosophers. Thomas Paine once said, "The world is my country. All mankind are my brethren, and to do good is my religion." That quote couldn't be more relevant today, and in my opinion it is one of the most humanist statements one could possibly make. There was an article published by thinkprogress.org back in February of this year. They were covering Donald Trump's lack of response regarding a shooting that took place in Kansas. These shootings were the results of a right-wing racist extremist. What is really very telling in regards to the ignorance of this attacker is he attacked two men because he thought they were from the Middle East. These two men were not from the Middle East. They are of Indian descent. And before shooting these men, he utters out, like a stereotypical racist that he is, "Get out of my country." I am so sick to death of hearing people say, "Get out of my country." It is so incredibly racist. These are words of division. They are not words of unity, and therefore that makes it a problem. A very big problem. Those two men had every right to be where they were, and there's absolutely no justification for this hate crime. I call it a hate crime because that's exactly what it is. It was racially motivated for this individual's hatred for what race he perceived them to be. And the sad, ironic thing is that they're not even from the country that he assumed that they're from. The purpose of that article is, however, Trump just won't talk about extremism if it comes from white supremacists or right-wingers of any sort. He just won't talk about it. He changes the subject. And when we do have a situation when an incident occurs that is escalated due to a white supremacist, a right-wing individual, or an Islamophobe, as soon as that happens, Trump is on Twitter pretending like it never happened and talking about ISIS terrorist attacks, which is already very well documented on the mainstream media to begin with. Which is really quite hypocritical on Trump's part. He spends so much time criticizing the liberal media for being quote-unquote fake news, and yet all he ever talks about, the only extremism he ever talks about, is extremism that has been escalated by ISIS, while ignoring every other type of extremism, especially when it comes from white supremacists, right-wing radicals, and especially Islamophobes. I want to share a quote from the Think Progress article, and this particular portion of the article really said it best. It was really spot on, way on the mark, and I entirely agree with this. Trump has established a pattern of trying to capitalize on incidents that reinforce his Islamophobia and fear-mongering about inner cities, while ignoring violence perpetrated by white supremacists. Absolutely. And if you want confirmation for that claim, all you need to do is just to simply look at the Twitter status updates of @RealDonaldTrump. Those Twitter status updates speak for themselves more than any news article ever could. Too many people are now using Trump's presidency as an excuse to be a bigot. Bigotry was not okay before, and it's still not okay. Much more people in this world need to be treating others as they themselves would wish to be treated. Nobody wants to be treated like a second-class citizen. Nobody wants themselves or their loved ones to be attacked, shot or murdered. Nationalism, while not necessarily being the best way to achieve human equality, can be okay, provided that it is not used to hurt other people, and so long that it's only about having a love for one's own culture. But while loving our own culture, we should still respect other cultures and even consider embracing other cultures, provided we are not causing any distress or harm to other human beings. We need more ways to unite humanity and less ways to divide us. I will defend the rights of all human beings, because all human beings are my people and all human beings are my kind. We are stronger together, united, but we are much, much weaker when we are divided.